Okay. Hi. I would like to quickly note that I can y'all see me? Okay. I kind of have the flu, so if that affects my speech delivery, I apologize.
No worries. I hope you're feeling all right, Gray.
I'm getting better, but okay, let me throw this up there. Okay. Can y'all see the PowerPoint? Okay. Social media isn't worth it. Why you should quit social media. Social media has its benefits, but they're vastly outweighed by the negative consequences. Think about the most important social experiences of your life. That could be a fun hangout with your friends or a memorable time you had with your family. I'm gonna guess that it did not take place on social media. In spite of this, we spend a disproportionate amount of our free time on social media. Social media does have its benefits, but I believe that they're vastly outweighed by the negative consequences. I've gathered studies, articles, interviews to back up my points, but I have real world experience here. I've quit every social media I've used in the last 2 years after using them for a long time. In 2020, I quit Twitter and Snapchat. In 2021, I quit TikTok and Instagram. As a result, I've honestly seen a difference in my own emotional and social life. I'm not saying that you need to quit it completely. You understand your personal relationship with social media better than I ever could. However, all of us, any of us, can gain from rethinking our relationship to social media and the effect that it has on our lives. I see a few main problems that arise from social media use. These include privacy concerns, loss of attention span, and most importantly, in my opinion, how social media depersonalizes human interaction. Let's talk about, let's start off with the privacy concerns with modern social media. This is probably the point that you're most familiar with. It's talked a lot about in the news. To fully understand the current privacy issue with social media, we need to go through some of the history first. Social media has existed for decades now in various forms. It's not only the few websites that immediately come to mind. Julian Hopkins, last updated 2017, defines social media as computer-mediated communication software that enables to create, share, and view content in publicly networked communications. This means that a lot of websites count as social media. You might be shocked to know that Wikipedia is considered social media. However, the nature of social media, the nature of popular social media, has changed a lot over time. In the early days of the internet, social media was mainly anonymous. In chat rooms, no one would know who you were. This has changed with services such as Facebook. Facebook and services like it revolutionized social media, making it more personal. On Facebook, Instagram, and similar platforms, the entire experience is built around your personal life. That's constructed between interacting with people you know in person and discussing, posting pictures of, giving details about what you are doing in your day to day life. Your personal information is what you are sharing on these platforms. We have become used to this surrender of our personal information. It's part of the experience and everyone does it. However, maybe we shouldn't be okay with it. Your privacy is at great risk on social media platforms. Ken Grafton stated in the May 2021 issue of the Waterloo Region Record that social media companies base their entire business model on something he calls surveillance capitalism. Basically, what he's saying is that their business is based on the collection and sale of private user data. I used the term privacy concerns earlier, but it's not fully accurate. Concerns implies that we don't know what they're collecting. We do. It's been talked about. They don't even hide it that well. Despite this, we continue to give these social media companies an unimaginable amount of our personal information willingly. Not only do we hand our personal information over to social media companies, but we also give it to everyone around us forever. Well, I assume the majority of y'all in the audience aren't parents. If you aren't, put yourselves in the shoes of a parent for a second. Do you really want your entire kids' lives freely broadcasted to the world? Is that a good thing? Think about how that could potentially affect your kid's future. You can step out of being a parent now, but realize that what I just described doesn't apply only to your kids or hypothetical kids, but it also applies to you. Do you really want so much of your life shown to the world? That could be anyone. The potential consequences are enormous with very little gain. I'm sure you can guess how I feel on this issue. It's not worth it, and it can only be fixed by not using social media. As long as you use social media, this pressure, this desire to freely give out your personal information will always be there. Now, let's go to the second problem that I mentioned, the loss of attention span. Don't worry, this is the shortest section of the speech. Social media has an undeniable link to the loss of attention span. Let's establish that change in attention span. A famous study by Microsoft, republished in Time, last updated 2015, states that the average attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. That sounds pretty bad. 9 seconds, that's not that long. But what's worse is that same study found that the average human attention span, excuse me, the average human attention span is generally about 8 seconds. What that means is the average human is worse at concentrating. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. The average human is worse at concentrating than a goldfish. And it should be noted that this study was quite a while ago. When we take into account recent developments, such as the short video format that's been recently pioneered by TikTok, I am so sorry. Surely, it has only gotten worse. This affects more than just the direct consequence of the lowering of our attention span. It begins to affect our consumption in general. David Burnham, writing for Brock Press in 2014, said that the more and more we try to minimize the content, the more we will lose sight of the bigger picture. How deep of an experience can you really get from a 15-second video? We begin to think things such as, why would I even read a book or a longer article when I could just read a shorter tweet? It causes us to lose nuance in all areas of life. I mean, the effects of that on learning and education should be very obvious, but I also believe that it causes us to lose appreciation of life. Why would you talk to your family if, when you're like waiting in line or eating a meal with them, if pulling up Instagram would give you much quicker gratification? How much more can our withered attention spans even take? While there are many options to fight the lowering of our attention span, it's easy to see that social media plays a huge role in this loss of attention span. As I've said before, the risks are not worth it, and this problem is best helped by quitting social media. Okay, going to our last point. How social media depersonalizes human interaction. I've got 2 questions for you, just to think about. First, how many friends do you have on social media? Secondly, how many of them are actually your friends? I'm gonna let you think about that while I cough again. Hold on. Okay. We previously called social media companies surveillance capitalism. They have 2 goals in the design of their platforms: to collect and sell your personal information and to make their app as addicting as possible so they can collect more data. This means that the apps are designed entirely as feedback loops. A feedback loop is any kind of system where what you do incentivizes future use. A social media platform sees what you like and recommends more content like that. When you get likes, it gives you that quick dopamine hit. As former Facebook executive Shamath Palihapitiya stated in an interview with Equals 4 Media in December 2017, these short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops are destroying how society works. While this is normally discussed in the context of politics, and political discussion. It applies to any kind of human socialization. If you run into someone in person, you're going to physically see them, you're going to have a real conversation, and you're likely to grow as a person. If you run into someone's social media posts, you might like it, you might leave a quick comment, but there's nothing of value in this socialization. There's no potential for it. This isn't real human socialization. It's pretend socialization. Why should we let this take over our social life if it's not even real socialization? One last time. I'm sure you can guess what my solution here is. Get off social media. You're not gaining any real social value out of it. You're not growing as a person and using it in these quick, second-long, minute at most interactions. All these problems I've discussed have had the same fix. Quit social media. To recap those problems, first, there are the immense privacy issues from giving your personal information to companies or simply giving it out to everyone. Then there is the loss of attention span, which can cause you to lose focus in pretty much all parts of life. Lastly, there's how social media depersonalizes human interaction, making it into a quick, dopamine-based feedback loop with no real value. To solve all these dangerous issues, I propose one fix: quit social media. Even if you don't want to quit it, which is entirely understandable, I challenge you to rethink your relationship with social media. However, I personally believe that you'll be better off if you just bite the bullet and quit social media. Thank you. I'm Gray. And remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.
Thank you, Gray.